So, ladies and gentlemen, we need to have a conversation. We need to have a little bit of a heart to heart because I'm seeing this story make the rounds where you have this young lady here who's on the Daily Wire with Michael Knowles, and she's telling her story. And apparently, a lot of pretender Christians or fake Christians on the internet are trying to say, wow, this woman is amazing. She's incredible. She's a story of salvation and redemption because she was an OnlyFans model who made a ton of money, who promoted this sort of degenerate, drug induced lifestyle for a long time, went on podcasts and promoted it all the time. What she wore, how she, I mean, basically everything about her was promoting this type of lifestyle that we in the Christian faith know to be a complete and total sin, that we know to be wrong. Because we're not the one that stands in judgment, but we are observers. And we're called to learn about the gospel, about the word of God, about the word of Jesus, and to be heralds of that. Not to be afraid of it, not to say it when it's convenient, not to say, well, homosexuality is popular in America, so therefore we no. Homosexuality is a sin. LGBTQ is completely and totally wrong. It is a sexual perversion that people have adopted as an ideology and really as a religion. So every Christian should be against it with every fiber of their being. So this person goes on the Michael Knowles show, and she makes the case that, well, she couldn't have found Jesus. She couldn't have found redemption if not for OnlyFans and if not for generating the $9 million that she made on this platform. Without that, she never could have found Christ. And you have people that are calling that a win? That is a hideous, heinous, and dangerous message. And I'll explain why. Because there are young girls that are going to hear that and say, wow, you mean to tell me that I can be an online prostitute? I can go on OnlyFans? I can debase myself? I can involve myself in all sorts of carnal desires and all this stuff? And then just randomly, like on a whim, I can get all that money, I can get all that attention, and then boom, I just have to go and get baptized, and all of a sudden, everything is good, everything is great, everyone has to accept me? No! That is a horrible message. That is terrible. That is disastrous for your life. Yes, she should be seeking Christ, but she should spend the rest of her life in atonement. She should confess her sins, admit that they're wrong. She hasn't admitted that OnlyFans is wrong. Not really. Not with all the money. Is she going to give the money back? No, of course she's not. So stop pretend Christians that this is any sort of a win. So what I want to do is I want to go over some Bible verses, because I know that people who are pretend Christians are allergic to the word. But we have some pretty interesting sayings in the Bible. Here we have Jude 1:7. This is in the ESV. Just as Sodom and Gomorrah and the surrounding cities, which likewise indulged in sexual immorality and pursued unnatural desire, serve as an example by undergoing a punishment of eternal fire. It is not said in the Bible that you can just perform any sort of just filth and all you got to do, oh yeah, you know what? Hey, you know what? I'm forgiven. You accepting Jesus Christ is fantastic. But Jesus Christ is not just immediately a get out of jail free card. You have to mean it and you have to work towards it. Not for him, because there's nothing that you could do in your entire life that would be worthy of God's forgiveness or worthy of God's praise. There's nothing I could do or anyone could do. But at the bare minimum, for the world as a whole, to try at the very least to make the world a better place, you should condemn the evils that you are participating in unequivocally. And set an example for other women that no, being an online prostitute and selling your body is an evil that she should say, I will never recover from that. And she won't, and she shouldn't. Some people say, well, wait a minute. She can be forgiven by God because God is the most forgiving, kind, compassionate God. He is the way, the truth, and the light. But the damage that you do by promoting this idolatry, this thing where you're taking money to expose yourself to men, nowhere in the Bible does it say that's okay. Nowhere in the Bible does it say that's okay. 1 Corinthians 6:15. Do you not know that your bodies are members of Christ? Shall I then take the membership of Christ and make them membership of a prostitute? Never. And that's with an exclamation point. 1 Kings 14:24. And there were also male cult prostitutes in the land. They did according to all the abominations of the nations that the Lord drove out before the people of Israel. Here, how about this one? Proverbs 6:32-33. He who commits adultery lacks sense. He who does it destroys himself. He will get wounds and dishonor, and his disgrace will not be wiped away. You could apply that to he or she. The disgrace will not be wiped away. Now, of course, asking God for forgiveness, admitting your sin, admitting you're wrong, is something that I think everyone should do. The Bible calls for that. In Catholicism, confession is a regular part. Now, I know that a lot of denominations don't have confession, but admitting that what you did was wrong and then working to show that you understand that it's wrong and then moving forward is part of the process. But these fair weather Christians, these people who think, well, I go to church on Easter Sunday, I go to church on Christmas, I've done my part, 2 times a year. I'm good with God, I'm good with Jesus. They think that that's enough. And you have these other people who are like, oh, I'm very religious. And then they go online and they don't know the Bible. They've got a verse that they wrote down somewhere that, oh, it sounds good. It's an inspirational quote. They went to inspirationalquotes.com and they found a Bible verse that they put in their bio. But what I'm telling you is that when you don't know the word, when you don't even bother to look it up, when you don't understand that no, us just immediately accepting and forgiving this woman, that's not what it says in the Bible. That's not what Jesus promoted. Jesus promoted genuine forgiveness and atonement. You see, when Mary Magdalene came back to Jesus for the second time after she had relapsed back into that life, Jesus, if she had come and been like, oh, yeah, Jesus, sorry, I just relapsed back into that a little bit. Oh, my bad. No, he looked into her heart and he saw that she had genuine remorse. She was genuinely remorseful. In fact, I'm tempted to try to pull up the actual clip from let's see if I can find it. Here we go.
It's not you. There's quite a lot going on right now. So it's good to have you back.
I don't know what to say.
I don't require much.
I'm so ashamed. You redeemed me and I just threw it all away.
Well, that's not much of a redemption if it can be lost in a day, is it?
I owe you everything. But I just don't think I can do it.
Do what?
Live up to it. Repay you. How could I leave? How could I go back to the place I was? And I didn't even come back on my own. They had to come get me.
Show The Chosen. So you see what Jesus is saying. You hear what he's saying to her. He's saying, I just want your heart and stuff like that. Give your heart to God. But you notice her genuine feeling of revulsion at what she did, and her appreciation of the gift, her understanding of what the gift was, and how valuable it was, and how sorry she was for what she did. That is a beautiful scene. And it's something where you see somebody who understands the weight of that. But this person online doesn't have that. Now, again, I'm not perfect. I could be totally wrong here. I could. But I'm going based on my instincts. I'm going based on my judgment. I'm going based on what I feel from this situation. And I have to say, I'm usually a pretty good judge of this sort of stuff. I say the word judge just for the sake of brevity, but really, a judge is somebody who sits and passes judgment. Like, you're this, you're that. I'm just an observer. That's what I am. I observe these things. I don't make the final determination. That is somebody far beyond me. I'm just somebody who notices. I look at the world and it's collapsing, and you have people that are grasping at straws that are like, well, if we redeem this one person, no. The message in this is what is going to tear this country apart even more. Because you're not actually relying on Christ. You're not actually relying on the gospel. What you're relying on is your fear and your desperation. You want to promote Christianity, but at what cost? What are you promoting? You promote Jesus. You promote Jesus Christ, a Lord and Savior. And Jesus Christ had a lot of things to say about this sort of stuff, about being true. There's a reason why the armor of God has a sword and a shield. There's a reason why the sword is called the sword of truth. So let's take a look at some more of these. Deuteronomy 23:17. None of the daughters of Israel shall be a cult prostitute, and none of the sons of Israel shall be a cult prostitute. Leviticus 19:29. Do not profane your daughter by making her a prostitute, lest the land fall into prostitution and the land become full of depravity. That's Leviticus 19:29. Let's see. Let's find it says Leviticus 18:19 through 23. You shall not approach a woman to uncover her nakedness while she is in her menstrual uncleanliness. True, based. And you shall not lie sexually with your neighbor's wife, and so make yourself unclean with her. You shall not give of your children to offer them to Moloch, and so profane the name of your God. I am the Lord. You shall not lie with a man as with a woman. It is an abomination. And you shall not lie with any animal, and so to make yourself unclean with it. Neither shall any woman give herself to an animal to lie with it. It is perversion. That is Leviticus 18:19 through 23. So all you women who are sleeping with your dogs, go ahead and stop it. Let's see. Proverbs. My son, keep my words and treasure up my commandments with you. Keep my commandments and live. Keep my teachings as the apple of your eye. Bind them on your fingers. Write them on the tablet of your heart. Say to wisdom, you are my sister, and call insight your intimate friend, to keep you from the forbidden woman, from the adulteress with her smooth words. So if you actually look into this, it's not just the cliche ramblings of a bunch of fake Christians on the internet. There is a lot of biblical texts about adultery and degeneracy for both men and women. There is a lot of things about prostitution, and OnlyFans is online prostitution. So don't tell me that you can spend years being an online prostitute and then all of a sudden put up this facade. In my view, it's a facade. Based on what this woman has said on the podcast, based on how she's presented herself, and based on the fact that she's going on the Daily Wire. I mean, holy shit. I'm not saying that you got to be a prostitute to go on the Daily Wire, but it seems to be a recurring theme that a lot of the people there are prostitutes, either for sexual pleasure or for money. Anyway, that'll do it for this video, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.